Okay, I came to my parents' house to film, and my dad is cutting grass. So hopefully you can still hear me. I will try to yell and scream, but we are not delaying this recording any further because this is the first time in, I don't know, weeks that I have done a sit down, let's walk through the numbers for YouTube. So, hello, if you're new here, I'm Danielle. I make videos on my first gen life. Right now I am going through unemployment, so kind of sharing that process with you all. And today's video is really just kind of a look at how I'm still spending, myself and my husband are still spending while we're unemployed because life continues to go on, right? And so how are we spending? What are we working towards in this month, last month? So that's what we're gonna look at today. We're gonna look at April, and then we're gonna take a look ahead at May and some of our goals, money-related goals that we have for this month. Okay, I grabbed myself a cup of coffee because my parents always have really good, strong coffee. Charlotte is laying next to me, and we are gonna get through it. For all of you who are new here, and this is your first spending overview video, I track my money in various different ways. So first thing I do is I use my own spending tracker. I created this. It kind of helps me keep an overview of my money in the way that I prefer. But I was using Copilot for those daily expenses, right? To track every single dollar. I was using Copilot. I since transitioned into Monarch Money because I think it's just easier for doing that with a couple, right? So I'm recently married, recently as in 6 months ago, married, and I think it's so far, it has been good for both of us to have that access to the app and just see where we're spending, whereas Copilot just felt a little bit differently. I also use Google Calendar. Google Calendar is the place where I go and I track what bills are when, what events are coming up, right? So it's like the events, but also when payments might be due. So those are kind of like my systems of money. An app, a Google spreadsheet I created, Google Calendar. Now we're gonna dive into the spreadsheet. So I'm gonna share my screen now with you all, and I am gonna kind of walk through. I'll keep April, right? So now we're looking at the spending plan. We are in Q2. We speak business here, right? We're still in that 9 to 5. So we're in Q2. It is now May. We're like in the middle of Q2, which I cannot believe, but we're gonna look at April. So we have expected income as our number one, kind of going through this list. We had planned that we would take money from our sinking funds, our travel sinking funds, because we had our honeymoon, Ari had a bachelor party to attend. But some things that you'll notice that are different from March and April is there's nothing in unemployment anymore. Unemployment has officially ended for me. No more unemployment paychecks. Sad to see that go, but honestly, whatever. I was able to have access to it, and I'm thankful for that 6 months, I think it was 26 weeks of unemployment. So it's done. We're gonna move on. Reselling, I also have a category here because I've been slowly selling some items on the marketplace. And then Ari had a part-time job that was temporary. We knew it was ending in April, and so really expected income is just us transferring our sinking funds money into our spending money. So that's kind of how it ended up. I guess I'll just transfer that over. We didn't get unemployment, didn't end up selling anything. I still have 2 items listed that nobody wants. I just asked my friend who is getting married if she wants my candles because I'm like, nobody else wants these candles. Do you want them? And then Ari's part-time job still non-existent. So our monthly must-pays are the things that don't change every month. Again, here, everything in the monthly must-pays has stayed the same. You will see that I had an item that doesn't have a name at $1,400 this month. And next to it, it actually was $1,477. So we'll get into what that was. I'm noticing now too that I double counted it in the spending money plan, but we'll go through that when we look at the specific amounts, because that was something that I knew was coming in this month that I had planned for, and it's just kind of a must pay. I'm not gonna not pay it. But we'll dive into what those are when we get into the spending money plan. So I've highlighted all the things in red that I'm like, let's discuss, right? So transportation, we estimated $300, even though I think that was really, and just, it was a lot to kind of estimate considering we took our honeymoon. We were gone for 10 days out of the month. So, you know, probably could have been less, but we spent it up close to that. And I think part of that is because we did have to travel for a friend's wedding in the beginning of the month, and it was 2 hours away, you know, just travel. Like, just traveling with the car does add up when you're thinking about gas. Groceries we went over, but only by $72, which honestly I don't think is that bad. Personal care, we're gonna explore personal care a little more. We probably should explore medical care and healthcare. I wanna see what that's all about. Shopping, okay, that's fine. Gifting, we went over, not significant, but we still did. And then housing related things. Oh, sorry, housing related, we didn't spend a single thing. We did travel, we actually came under what we had budgeted, so that was nice to see. And then miscellaneous and pets. So I'm surprised, Charlotte, I'm surprised you didn't cost me anything last month. She's staring at me over there. But there we go with that $1,400 expense that we'll dig into a little more. And then eating out was way over. Okay, so let's dig into what this actually means. So within each month, we go into specific details, right? And so every month we sit down and we look at the month ahead. We also look back, right? When the month is over, we see what went well, what didn't. So we really knew that our honeymoon was gonna be a big spending thing for us. Like, we knew we were gonna spend money on it. We also had a bachelor party that Ari was gonna attend. So we cannot expect for the bachelor party, I don't think Ari expected, you know, had an idea of what we were gonna spend. We did budget $800 for that and it ended up being less, but that was something that he didn't plan. He was just kind of attending. So we knew that these two trips would impact our spending, but we had a honeymoon budget, and I'll talk about that in another video. So we kind of knew like these two things might make it look like we spent a lot, but just keep that in mind. We also wanted to continue like our Jen Eats Good meals, which I've shared in a few blogs. Traveling and honeymoon, let's take a break from thinking about our job search. But when we looked back, when we were like last week, I think we just assessed our stuff and we're like, okay, we weren't surprised by any of the expenses. We knew that unemployment was ending and that we had big spending events this month, the honeymoon, our friend's wedding, Ari's bachelor party, like those are big expenses. And you can see that we did account for that in our big expenses estimates, right? We knew that the wedding gift and accommodations would be about $1,000. We knew our honeymoon was gonna cost us $3,000, whatever, about $3,000. We knew the bachelor party could be about $800. So these were estimates that we assumed that we could spend. That was something that we were aware of that was coming in. Okay, I actually did get one unemployment paycheck. I'm seeing this here, so let's transfer that over to spending plan. So I just got the 1 week of unemployment. But okay, let's look at our categories. This is the fun part. This is where the Monarch money or Copilot or whatever you use, I export that into a transactions dump and I put it in here just because going in here every day and putting our expenses is too tedious, and this is the best way that works for us. So let's look at personal care. Okay, so I got a haircut this month, or in April. Ari also got a haircut. That's a big chunk of our personal care. And how do you feel about my haircut? I got bangs. You've probably already seen it if you've watched my vlogs, but yes, I got bangs. I have been wanting to get a haircut for a long time, even like for our wedding, I didn't get a haircut, mainly because the wedding and I didn't want different hair, but much needed. And Ari gets his haircut more regularly than I do just because his grows faster than mine does. So that's what's here. The Peloton is a must pay, I believe. So I don't know why that's coming up here. It is a must pay. That is what happens when you're just taking things from the Monarch money. So that's personal care. We did dry cleaning twice this month. I know the other category we wanted to look at was medical care and health. So let's take a look at that. Oh, I got contacts. That was a big chunk of it, the contacts. For the honeymoon, for the wedding, I'm like tired of having to wear my glasses all the time. It messes up certain outfits. So I'm just like, I wish it was just easier to not have to wear my glasses if I didn't want to. So I got contacts. It was a little pricey. I was like, should I do this? Should I just suck it up and just wear my glasses? But I'm glad that I did it and I got contacts. And now I'm like a pro at applying these contacts. I have them on right now. But that was like the majority of what was medical care and health. And that does not include our health insurance and dental insurance because that is in our monthly must pays. So let's look at what other category we wanted to explore further. Okay, so gifting. So I got cupcakes a couple of times. Spelled cupcakes wrong. My friend's wedding gift, I got somebody a bottle of wine to celebrate them, and then I made a donation. So that was gifting. Mainly it's the wedding gift. So that was not a surprise. Let's look at travel. For the travel, I broke it up by what was honeymoon and bachelor party. We mainly, and this I'll go into the honeymoon budget, but we mainly had allotted mostly cash spending for our honeymoon. And so these items that are here that are titled as honeymoon are things like our metros when we were over there because we needed to use our phones for the Suica. And so all that stuff is what is accounted here. So the next category that we want to take a look at is this 1400 miscellaneous. And this one is the one I want to talk about a little more because what did I even label it as? Oh, I labeled it as must pays on here, but then I didn't. So this is the only must pay that's kind of showing up in the spending. Life insurance. So let's talk about this one. I purposefully saved it for the last kind of category to talk about because it's important. This is not life insurance for me or my husband. We are exploring that as well, but right now it just isn't a priority for us to get life insurance for each other, mainly because we don't have dependents, we don't really own a property, but we are starting to think about it. We are starting to think about what that looks like. This life insurance charge that I had in April is actually for my parents whose house I'm in right now. I decided in 2021, maybe it was last year. I don't know when, I think it might've been last year. Was it last year? I think it was last year I decided that it was time for them to have some kind of life insurance. It was a whole conversation. I don't know if you can relate, but as a first-gen daughter of immigrants, parents have kind of a stigma associated to the kind of futuristic planning that life insurance is for. And so there was a whole conversation when I wanted them to be on board with this, right? Because you kind of need to get the people on board who you're getting life insurance for to approve it and be okay with it, where they kind of, or my dad specifically, my mom's okay with all these things, but my dad is always a little more like paranoid, right? He wasn't sure why we needed life insurance for him. And it's this whole debate of like, you're trying to kill me, you know, early, and you're putting vibes out there that are going to make my life end. Dramatic. But it is a very real kind of thing, right? Life insurance, having conversations about wills, all of that stuff has always been difficult for me to have with my parents because they don't really get it. And for me, being responsible for paying for my parents' life insurance is not because I'm like, yay, I want to get rich when you die, but it's more so you own things. You have daughters who are still minors. What's gonna happen to them if the breadwinners of the house are no longer here? And so it was that kind of planning that made me feel like my parents needed life insurance and that I would be okay paying for it if that meant that they would get it. Because on their own, they would never pay for life insurance. That just isn't a priority for them in their minds. But for me, as somebody who has been who's been really interested in personal finance for this long, who sees how it could impact your life when you lose somebody who's the breadwinner or, you know, earn incomes, I don't want to see that happen in my household, in my family. So I do take the priority in paying for things like that because it was my choice for them to get it. So I knew life insurance was going to come up this month. It is an annual expense for me. It always happens in April. And so I had already mentally prepared for it. And that's what we paid for in April, right? We had to pay for it. It's not something that I just, you know, stop paying for because I'm married. And I think that's another conversation that like Ari and I had to have. Like, how do you feel about paying for my parent, like using our money to pay for my parents' life insurance? And I think having married into me and my family, all of those things were disclosed. You kind of know the situation you're getting into. You should know the situation you're getting into when you are marrying somebody. So that's that $1,400 expense that came up. Looking ahead, May, I know we are halfway through the month, which to me is just, how does the time just go? We completed our looking ahead category to talk about what we think is gonna be coming up for us this month. We do have a trip to Aruba. I know we've been taking a lot of trips and I think a lot of people are like, how are you taking all these trips when you're unemployed? These are all pre-planned trips and this is actually a annual family trip for Ari's family. So this came into our radar last year, right? Around the time that we were in Aruba. Like his mom just says, every year we're going to Aruba. And the thing here, and I think it's so important to be transparent about this is all new to me too, because my family is not this way, but for this trip, his mom has a timeshare and we are not paying for accommodations. We're not paying for accommodations for Aruba. And that is a privilege. Like when in the world am I going on a beach vacation and not paying for accommodations? Like that's unheard of, you know? So we understand that we have this trip to Aruba. We're going to eat out while we're there. We also have Mother's Day this month and graduation gifts. So my sister graduated from college and I have another sister that's graduating from a high school. So things to keep in mind for May. Where do we want to challenge our spending this month? We are actually trying to stick to the budget that we plan out, right? Every month we look at the month, we're deciding how much we should put to this, how much we should put to that. And so that is really where we want to challenge ourselves. We have not been very good at like tracking and, you know, middle of the month being like, how are we doing towards these goals? So that's something that we're working on. What value do you want to focus your spending on? Okay, so we want to just be mindful of our spending. We want to actually stick to the things that we say we're going to stick to. Like if we have meals to make, let's actually eat those meals because we want to get a grip on healthy spending habits. before we get full-time income. And that is something that I think for the month of May, I haven't made a like monthly goals and all that check-in yet, because the biggest goal for me is really just to land a job, full-time, full income job. That has been my goal, right? And so ahead of getting there, because I have set that goal for me for the end of the month, I want to land it. I'm excited for all the opportunities that I have open right now, but that is the main goal. We want to make sure we get our spending right so that when we get incomes, we're not like, yes, we can continue spending. Like, no, like, let's see how we do sticking to the damn budget. I've already put some spending on here. You'll see some of the categories are invalid, you know, because they don't align with the categories that I have set forward. And that is because we started using Monarch Money and they have their own set of categories. So Ari and I just have a kind of goal that we must go into Monarch Money, label whatever categories we want. I actually do like how they break it down. Like they have parking and tolls versus gas. Do they have a gas one? Yeah, versus gas. And I think it's helpful to see like the differences of those two. But anyway, that is how we're thinking about the rest of this month. That is our April spending. I spoke a lot. I hope though that you got to see how we're just keeping track of our money. And while we haven't been the best at staying within budget and all of that, I think it is still helpful for us to be able to look back and see exactly where the money went and why things happened maybe differently than we had planned so that we can make better decisions. And it truly is hard to still have trips that you want to take, to still have events that you have to attend and have the money to do that stuff and want to do that stuff, but also realize that unemployment has been, I know, we're gonna go on a walk in a little bit. I have been unemployed now for almost a year in August. Not almost, I guess we have some months before August. And it's dawning on me that like, this is longer than I ever expected to be unemployed. And so maybe I shouldn't keep spending like I think I'm gonna get the job soon. I know, we're gonna go on a walk. We're gonna go on a walk. So I appreciate you if you've watched this far. I appreciate you for understanding that life is not always about hitting those financial goals, right? I have had people comment on on these YouTube videos, these videos specifically about my spending, saying you're never gonna retire or you're spending so much you're gonna be broke. And to be honest, the internet is the internet. You only see a reality of someone's financial picture that they're willing to share with you. Investing for my future since I learned about personal finance back in 2017. So, excuse you. So, yes, I have an urgency to get a job, but I'm also in a position where I'm like, thank goodness I started investing back then, because I'm not starting with zero and I'm not going into debt to be able to do what I'm doing. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Right, Charlotte? Right? Come on. Say bye, come on. Thank you for watching. I hope you got something from this video. I hope you stick around. I have a vlog coming out this Friday on projections. So I hope that you stick around and are with me in this journey. Thank you for watching.